you've just been on that journey from like where a lot of the people watching are trying to go from. So being at like, $1,000 per month to the point where you're making, 10K plus, you're making consistently 5 figures per month online. So what would you tell somebody who's at the beginning of that journey and they're wanting to make 10K per month online as an online coach?
Also, it's just us in here.
It's just, they're not going to sit in here with us.
Why not?
And babysit our podcast.
We need it.
Probably. So tell me then, I asked you a question before.
Yeah.
What makes a good coach a good coach?
Yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, I think the biggest thing that makes a good coach is actually living through the experiences. So you could give anyone a plan. A ChatGPT could give someone a plan.
Sure.
That would work. But you're not understanding what people are actually going through during that process. And that's one of the most important things, because if you've never worked 10, 12-hour days and you're trying to talk to someone and give them a plan and a meal plan, training plan, how do you know what it feels like to actually be in that position?
Right.
So that's why I think, number one, like actually living through experience. And number two, you actually have a good physique. You've been there, you've done it. You've been through the trenches. You know what it's like to get super lean. You know what it's like to be even higher body fat percentages.
Yeah.
You don't just, have a good physique from birth.
For sure. So you wouldn't hire a fat boy coach.
Absolutely not.
Do you think that's the wrong way to go? But you do see it now. There are some coaches out there that are like not in that great shape, and they kind of push the body positivity instead of actually just getting in good shape. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I've seen that a lot now. Honestly, it gets a lot of pushback from people that are actually reputable.
Yeah.
Which I think is great. I think really what they're catering to is people that want to get in shape but don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
They want to do everything but actually diet and train.
Yeah, of course.
And the truth is, it doesn't have to be that strict. Like, as soon as you learn the fundamentals of tracking your macros, what foods you should be eating, like whole foods, and like basic training principles, it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
I think they just cater to people that are a bit more lazy.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Everybody's got a sacrifice that they don't want to make
Yeah.
to get into shape.
Absolutely.
It's like that. Because your Instagram bio literally says build an aesthetic physique without spending hours in the gym.
That's right.
Yeah. So you are still catering to that like lazy
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, well, a lot of people end up actually spending too much time in the gym. They think if they do more work, they're going to get more results. And it's actually not the case. You need to spend a lot of time recovering.
Right.
Because that's when actually the muscle is built. So realistically, if you're going to the gym two times a week at a minimum, but 3 times a week, ideally for 45 minutes, and you're intense and intentional when you're training, you can make fantastic progress. And, personally, I've been in situations where I've had to done that. I was working jobs where I was working 6, 12-hour days, standing in the sun on my feet all day. Grinding it out, talking to hundreds of people every single day. So not only my physical energy, but mentally, I didn't have the energy to train 4 or 5 days a week. Yeah. And I still made great progress. So you don't need to be going 4, 5, 6 times a week.
How many times do you go though? I feel like I always see because you go to the gym on my road, and I feel like I always see you in and out.
Yeah, so I go 5 days a week, but realistically it's like 4.5 a session.
Right.
One day is an arm day, so that doesn't even count. That's basically just
okay. That's just an ego.
That's
ego
just
day.
Strictly for ego and pumps.
Yeah. That's just a dopamine day.
Yeah, and
nice.
It's also, it's my living. So
of course, it's a job,
me going 5 days a week makes sense.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can get more content, and I actually enjoy going to the gym.
Yeah.
A lot of people want all the benefits, but they don't enjoy it, and I totally get that. It's not for everyone, but what happens with most people is when they actually do start being consistent and seeing results, that's when it becomes enjoyable.
Yeah.
Right? Like, obviously, if you're doing something consistently and you're not seeing results, it's not going to be very fun.
Fuck yeah.
We're all in it for the reward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to know, right? Because I made a video for my course the other day, and obviously I used you as an example in your Instagram account. I'm going to put your Instagram account on screen right now so that people watching can see what you've built, because you've had really good business progression. We had this conversation over the past, 6 to 8 months. Yeah. And
never feels like enough.
Oh, it never feels like enough. And it never will. And it never will. We talk about this so
I'll be
often.
worthy of love soon.
Maybe when you make more money, get a nicer car.
We'll see.
Get a nicer apartment. We got to stop that shit. But
we're just getting started.
Yeah. No, I want to know the Andrew Law. I feel like even I've known you for the past 8 months.
Yeah.
I don't even feel like I've ever actually personally got like the full Andrew Law. Like, obviously, I know that you were living in England for a bit.
Yeah.
Moved to Canada. Obviously, now we're in Bangkok. But I just want to know, like, the full fucking story. Why did you become what you've become? Like, why did you decide to just become handsome and jacked?
Well, first of all, thank you.
Pleasure, man.
That's a great question. How far back do we want to go?
I don't know, bro. Just
to
like
the roots.
I just want the origin story.
The
like
origin story.
The villain origin story, you know?
That's definitely villain.
Not hero.
So really where it started was ever since I was like 8, 9, even younger, my granddad in London, he would take me up to the top floor of his house, and he had bench press, dumbbells, and he was
Chad, mate.
Yeah, he was a Chad when he was younger. I mean, he I think he was a chemical engineer, but retired at like 35. Lived in Marbella. Rode a 650 Bonneville Triumph. So I always looked up to him as like,
okay, that's sick.
He is the Chad, and he used to do like old school 3 times a week full body training. Never took it like crazy seriously, but built like a good physique. And yeah, he would take me up there, teach me how to do bicep curls, barbell bench press. And then we moved to Canada when I was 9. And he came and visited when I was like 13 or 14. And at the time, I was just a complete degenerate. I was in grade 9 in high school, smoking weed every single day.
How old are you in grade 9? Because I'm English.
13, 14.
Okay, yeah.
So I was young, smoking weed 3 times a day. Just a loser.
Fair
going
play.
Nowhere in life. And he came and he saw my physique and he said, "You look like shit. You need to start working out." Like, he was just so blunt with me, and I was like, he's absolutely right. I was skinny fat. I was 6 feet tall, 135 pounds with a belly. Just a crazy build. I look like that creature from Star Wars. I don't know what the name is.
There's many. You
know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he put me on a program 3 times a week. And from then on, I was like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first started, people were hating so hard. I remember I had some friends, and they were like, "You're never going to stick to this. You've never been consistent with anything. You're not going to stick with this," you know. And I was like, I'll show them.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But at the time, they were absolutely right.
Okay.
Like, the person I was just a 9th grade smoking weed 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Didn't have any aspirations. I always knew that I wanted to be like a masculine figure. Yeah. I wanted to look like a superhero. What guy doesn't? Right? When you're a kid, you watch WWE, Dragon Ball Z, any superhero movie, you're like, that's got to be me. That will be me. So I just decided, I guess I was lucky with my environment, but that happened really early for me. And as soon as I started seeing progress, I was like, why is not everyone doing this?
Okay, yeah.
A little more attention from women. Of course. Especially at that age when you go from like just out of puberty, you're awkward. You've been not necessarily a loser, but like doing your own thing, and now you're getting attention. Yeah. You got a little bit of muscle on you. The crazy thing is I thought I was bigger then than I do now.
Well, you thought you were bigger when you were younger than what you do. So as you've got bigger, you've felt smaller.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I mean, when you're 14, 15, 16, your ego's just
it's
through
crazy.
the roof.
Yeah. When you first start getting female attention and it's crazy. Yeah. Okay.
So from then on, I just knew that's what it was going to be. Like, I knew this was my passion. I didn't know how I was going to make money from doing it. I thought I was just going to go the traditional personal training route. So I got a job at a gym when I was 17, just after high school. And it was like a very old school dungeon gym. It was run by the Hells Angels. I don't know if I should say that.
Really? Is that legal? I don't know much about the Hells Angels. I'm not.
Yeah, so it's like, motorcycle criminal organization.
Really?
So it was very questionable characters, but I met some amazing people. It was.
Yeah.
And like, especially when you're 17, being around people like that, you see different sides of life, and you hear stories, and you just learn from people that have been in the trenches.
Oh.
So I would see the personal trainers there, though, and I started calculating, because I could see their payroll, and I started calculating how much money they were making, and I was going, I'm not doing this. They're getting paid $30, $40 an hour, and I was like, even then, I knew.
And that's in Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
So, like, I think one thing we should reference is like Canadian dollars is bad. Like,
well, it's not that bad.
It's pretty bad though. Like,
I don't want to defend Canada too much, but it's not that bad. It's 1.38 USD.
To USD.
Yeah.
Okay, but like in pounds.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Because if you're English watching this, understand that Canadian.
Yeah.
That's like half. Yeah. Right. That's like
point. 36.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so not quite half, but
yeah, it's close.
Yeah.
It's getting there.
It feels like half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I do the conversion on CAD to GBP, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's
That's
not looking
rough.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's even, just for reference, that's even less than like what you might perceive it as to be. Because even if you're making 30-40 pounds in the UK, it's pretty decent.
Yeah,
right? It's not
that's
bad.
a good wage.
Yeah.
But yeah, in Canada, and it doesn't get you far in Canada. Like taxes are, if you're making decent money, 50%.
Sure. Yeah.
So I was just doing the calculations, and even at that age, I was like, I'm not doing this.
Right.
And the truth is mostly when you train people in person, they're more of the, I want to go to the gym just to feel good rather than actually see results.
Yeah.
So yeah, I worked at the gym, ended up getting fired.
Seriously?
Yeah.
What for?
I don't know. The boss was a little bit of a crazy guy. I don't want to besmirch his name too much, but
Don't besmirch his name.
I'll try my best.
But what did you do though? You must have done something.
I didn't do anything. He just kind of spazzed at me one day. He would do that.
He what?
He would just spaz, just like just freak out, start yelling at me, and I was just like, I didn't do anything.
Right.
And then he just got more mad, and I was like, all right, see you later.
It happens to the best of us.
To the worst of us.
Yeah, to the worst of us.
So, yeah, I realized that, personal training wasn't an option, like in person, and really the online coaching space wasn't big. I mean, this was the time of, Matt Ogus, Christian Guzman, Rob Libsit.
Yeah.
And you didn't really see the online coaching side of things.
What year was this, just for reference?
2015, 2016.
Wow.
Yeah, so a long time ago.
That is a long time ago.
That is a long time
like
ago.
10 years.
A decade.
Yeah.
And so you didn't see the online coaching side of things at all during those times. And so I didn't even know it was possible. I didn't even know people would pay for a service like that. So I went into sales, had a couple sales jobs. I'll keep that short. Just went into a couple sales jobs, sold tourist attractions. So I'd speak to 500 people every single day. Then I sold.
What were you selling?
Tourist attractions.
Okay, yeah.
So I'd stand on the street and yell at people. Yeah.
As in, like, so you actually sold, like, in Canada?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So people would come off the cruise ships from Alaska or, like, where else would they come from? California.
So you were cold outreaching people in person?
Oh, my God.
On the street?
All day. And just getting crazy number of rejections.
Really?
People would just stare at you.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, come on. And then there'd be situations where you have, 15 people, like a group, and you're taking a credit card from each of them in the sun, trying to get it all done quickly to get them on a bus that goes somewhere. So it's chaos. But,
where? Like what like tourist attractions? I'm just curious, like what tourist attractions were you selling? How easy was it to actually sell?
So there's a hop-on, hop-off bus.
Right.
Around Vancouver, which was terrible. The buses were from like 1970.
That sounds like fun.
They broke down all the time.
Right.
There was trips to Whistler and Victoria, which are a couple hours away. Victoria's on the island, and Whistler's 3 hours on a bus.
Right.
There's mountains, skiing, snowboarding.
Yeah, I've heard good things about Whistler.
Yeah, it's a nice place. And then I would also sell attractions like going to the aquarium.
Wow.
Like doing Fly Over Canada, it's called. It's basically just like a virtual flight.
Okay.
So I'd sell things like that and basically, just yell at people on the street. But it was probably one of the best sales experiences that I ever had. I mean, You're talking to 500 people every single day, repeating the same things, but you learn how to read people. Like I could look at someone and already know what they want, where they're going.
Yeah.
And even just judging by like where they're from, how they're dressed, you kind of get a read on people, which I think was one of the best experiences I ever had. So I highly recommend if anyone is, not confident, bad social skills, get an in-person sales job.
Yeah.
It'll level you up within 3 months.
That is brutal though.
Oh,
that is brutal. Yeah.
You're getting thrown in the deep end.
Yeah, that is the deep end.
And I'd never done anything like that. Like obviously I'd worked the front desk of a gym and a couple other odd jobs like construction, but nothing like that.
Cool.
And then after that, I realized I definitely had enough of doing that. I think I did that for 3 summers.
Yeah.
And then I got a job selling financing for heavy equipment. So people would buy, $300,000, $200,000 piece of equipment, and I would convince them to finance it over, 72 months.
So really, you've always been in sales then?
Yeah.
You've always been selling something?
Absolutely.
As everybody is, but strictly speaking, you have been.
Yeah. And that was the route I just saw that was, okay, I can make good money.
Yeah.
It's not too soul destroying.
No.
But I always knew, like, I wanted to do something online.
I'm just imagining
fitness.
you selling your like 5th virtual tour of Vancouver for the day, wanting to kill yourself.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Soul destroying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I always knew I wanted to do something with online coaching. I even bought like a really nice camera, like I think in like 2019.
Yeah.
So I always had it there. I wanted to do vlogs. I wanted to do fitness videos, but I just didn't know anything about it. Like I had no concept of online coaching or marketing online.
Yeah.
So that was a big learning process for me. But it was always the staple in my life. No matter if I was in a relationship, what job I had, if I was working construction for my dad, the gym and my diet and training came first.
Yeah. You are probably the most locked in person I know when it comes to like training and diet.
I never miss a beat.
Yeah, you literally don't.
But
it's so rare.
It's not from the place of like, I have to do this. It's like, this is just what I do.
Yeah, it's just your identity, isn't it? It's just.
Well, I'm a little more than that.
I don't know. No, I'm joking. But no, but you literally have just that is cemented in your being, just to be in the physical condition that you're in.
There's no other way.
And to act in the way that you do.
I've broken up with past relationships because they wanted to do things, and I was like, no, I have to do this.
Wow.
Yeah, it always comes first because it's always going to be there. And it's always going to create a baseline for you and how high you hold yourself. And I think it's absolutely mandatory. Yeah. And nothing should ever get in the way of it.
No. Solid. I agree. Okay, so then you went into online coaching.
Yes. So while I was working the financing or selling financing, I was like, you know what? I just have to start doing this. I actually had a moment with a friend, close friend of mine, a best friend. Shout out to Blake.
Come on, Blake.
Basically, we had turned 25 and we sat down. We went for a walk, and we used to go for a walk and smoke some tobacco and have deep conversations. And so we go to a park bench near our house and we sit there and we go, we need to make a change. We have to change something in our life because the trajectory we're on is just killing us.
Yeah.
Like I would look at my parents and God bless them. But I would see them, they'd get off work, they're all stressed, they'd sit on the couch, have a cup of tea, eat some snacks, and I'd just be like, if this is my life, I know I can do better.
Of course.
And not to say that life isn't great. Like some people are super satisfied with that. For me, I was like, I want everything. I want to see the world. I want everything that's in it.
Yeah.
I want to experience every high and low of life.
Of course.
So we sat down and I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, I'm just going to post on Instagram my physique and I'll get clients.
Yeah, okay.
No outreach,
yeah.
Nothing. So I started the business, worked with another mentor.
Yeah.
And he actually told me to do everything. Like he was like, you need to start doing outbounding, you need to start doing cold outreach, you need to start posting more. I just had no concept of it. I couldn't even take in the information.
Right.
I was like, I'm not doing that.
I feel like that's a lot of people though right now. Like there's a lot of different directions that you can take it in, and there's evidence to support that it all works.
Yes.
So I think that's where people get overwhelmed and confused. So like, what did you do from there?
So honestly, it all was word of mouth.
Yeah.
I got one of my friends in shape. I mean, I was charging pennies.
So you started getting clients from your existing network and people that you already knew.
So I had already like helped people get in shape for free. Like I was just the guy people would go to. People would just text me out of nowhere. I haven't talked to them in 5 years. Like, bro, I need to get in shape. I'd be like, I got you.
Yeah.
I'd literally go on Notes app, create them a program, and be like, this is how much you're eating, and I'd coach them. And then I started charging. Like, I think I met a guy at university once, charged him like $100, and I was like, dude, I just made money from this.
Yeah.
This can't be real.
That's a good feeling.
It was a good feeling. So I do that a couple times, and then people. I told people I was doing it. I got one of my friends in shape. Shout out to Noah.
Come on, Noah.
Legend. And he'd been training with me for like 10, 12 years.
Right.
But his physique, he just stopped making progress at some point. So we locked in, we made crazy progress, and from there, word just kind of spread. I was charging 100 Canadian a month, and I ended up having like 12 clients. So I had built a good client base, but the amount of money I was charging was just
not good.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work for not a lot of money. But
exactly.
I kind of want to go back to the friend thing, because I know a lot of people, they start, obviously I work with coaches, so they'll start their business and they'll realize that they don't have any new people flowing in. They don't have any new faces. They don't have strangers to sell to, and they think that they have to sell to strangers. But in actual fact, in most cases, the coaches that get to like 5K a lot quicker than the ones that obviously don't, they leverage their existing network. They sell to their friends. They help their friends get in shape. What would you say to somebody who's got resistance around like, oh, I don't really want to sell to my friends. It's just my family members and colleagues that follow me on Facebook or Instagram. What advice would you give to somebody who is having that thought process right now?
Those are the warmest leads you're ever going to get.
Yeah.
They already know you. They already trust you. There is so much skepticism in the market right now, especially in like the West.
Yeah.
For online coaching courses, anything like that. You have leads that already know you're a real person. They already trust you. You have no reason not to try do it. And honestly, they want you to succeed. That's the truth. Unless you have some haters in your life.
Yeah. Like you did when you were young.
Like when I first started.
Yeah.
But my friends were like trying to refer everyone.
Yeah.
They were referring 3, 4, 5 people at a time. And so I actually have a client who referred his girlfriend, his mom, and his dad.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So if you really put all your effort into it and really try help people, especially the people close to you, or maybe not in your immediate friend group, but even on the outskirts, those are the best leads you could ever get.
Interesting. But you said before, like, you'd spent a lot of time obviously communicating with people in sales roles.
Yeah.
How would you go about communicating with people that you already know to sell them as opposed to a stranger? Because a stranger, you can kind of put the sales frame on. But like with a friend, it's like they know you, right?
Exactly. I would do much more relaxed.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even try really sell them.
Yeah.
Like if it genuinely is a good fit for them, you obviously want to steer them in the right direction.
Yeah.
Of course. That's what you're doing when you're selling all the time. You're finding a good fit.
Of course.
For that person.
Yeah.
But I just wouldn't be pushy, honestly.
Yeah.
I would offer it and be like,
how would you offer it though?
That's a great question.
So, how have you offered it? Like, I'm curious to know because, like, I know personally that you do sell a lot of people in your existing network. You do have a lot of clients who were your friends initially.
So what I would do was basically give people free information.
Yeah.
Like if you're in good shape, people are going to ask you, like, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to see my abs? What do I need to do to build my arms up? Tell them. Tell them exactly what they need to do. And they're going to come back to you for more questions. And what happens a lot of times is they'll go, okay, well, I'm doing this right now. What should I do? And then just say, hey, man, look, this is what my one-on-one coaching does. I think this would be a good fit for you based on what you're telling me. You've seen some results with what I already spoke about. Imagine we actually did this for 12, 16 weeks, how much progress we could make. Yeah. And most of the time, people, if, they'll see the benefit if you give them value. And that's really what you want to do. Don't gatekeep the information is basically what I'm saying.
So you're saying actually take them a little bit down the route, give them a little bit of that journey, give them a little bit of the result, and then go from there. And I mean, that's essentially what you're doing with content as well, right? Like when you're posting content, people are getting that value, they're walking the path somewhat, and then when they become your client, you're just taking them the full way.
Exactly. And that's exactly what you want to do. And because realistically, the most joy I get out of coaching is actually seeing people not only change their physique, but change their life, their confidence, how they view themselves, their self-respect, their self-image. That is where I actually enjoy it the most. It's not about how much money you make, because as you know, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't fill the void. So
it sometimes does.
Occasionally. But yeah, I think giving value and actually trying to help people is the best way to get clients.
It makes a lot of sense. It's so really simple, but it literally is it.
But I understand how sometimes you're like, if I give too much value, how people can think like this. If I give too much value, I'm going to have nothing to sell.
Yeah. What do you think about that though? Like, because I actually think giving away a lot is good.
It's the best thing you can do.
But I also understand that you've got to give people, when you're selling something, you've got to give people the feeling that they don't actually have the full solution. You've got to give people the what and not the how. Yeah. So I don't know, there's different philosophies on it, but I think that in certain offers, in certain coaching offers, you can give more of the how than others. Yeah. If I give all of the how in my offer, then people go and try it and they're like, this is really hard, it doesn't work, and I'm this sucks. So they then give up and then they try and look for a new thing and they jump from strategy to strategy. Yeah. When really it's just doing the basics really well that work. And I think it's the same with fitness.
Absolute same with fitness. There is no secret formula. Yeah. There's no secret exercise. There's no secret routine. It's about learning how to actually implement the basics that slot into your life with minimal friction and resistance. Yeah. And it's just finding what works for your situation. And that's going to change You know, you're going to have family gatherings, you're going to have vacations, you're going to have your job schedule might change. All of these things it's just about finding how do we make this fit in your life as easy as possible.
Interesting.
The path of least resistance.
The path of least resistance. Well, let's continue down your path, because obviously it didn't stop there. You became an online coach, and now you're living it up, man.
Yeah. So I was doing that for 6 months. I was at 1.2K Canadian per month. So
wow.
I wasn't doing so well, but that was about 6 months in. And I was really looking at my life and analyzing my surroundings and where my future was heading at my current job. And they were talking to me about getting promoted and staying there for 5 years. And I see other people getting like 5-year celebrations. I was like,
5-year celebrations.
There's no way I could do that.
Yeah.
And I had the term with my friends, because we all had the same job. We called them lifers. Like that was their life. That was it. That was the direction they're heading. They get a wife. They get a mortgage. That's it. Settle down.
They're in it for life.
They're in it for life. And so I was like, there's no way that's me. And so the whole 6 months, I was just plotting and scheming my way out. I was like, where am I going? What am I doing?
You do that often.
I do that.
I receive a phone call from you nearly every day with a new plot and scheme of like what you're going to do with your life.
Yeah.
I love it though.
I'm
sick.
always thinking about it in the
course.
back of my mind. And I should probably think about it less and just focus on
Probably.
the present. But
Maybe, I don't know.
So over that 6 months, I was just finding, what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to solve this? Because I not only don't have the right information, I don't have the time to really go all in on this endeavor. And I know if I have those two things, I'm going to succeed. I've proven it with my fitness, and that's where I built the confidence. Because I got competent at like literally changing reality. I changed the way my body looked so much that I was like, I can start a business and make it work. That's not going to be a problem. I just need the right resources and the right amount of time. So I was on YouTube. I found Jack Hopkins, and he was talking about moving to Thailand and the cost of living. And I saw another video from Vigorous Steve. He lives out here, talking about bodybuilding in Thailand, how cheap chicken breast is. And I was like, I'm doing it.
It is cheap.
So I was in a relationship at the time with a lovely young lady, and I basically just one day booked a ticket one way to Thailand and was like, I'm going all in.
You did, didn't you?
I just said, I'm going to go figure it out, and I'm going to see what happens. I'll be honest, I had a bit of money saved up. I had about 50K Canadian. So I was like, you know what? If everything goes wrong, I can come back.
Of course.
And get a shitty job that I hate and just do that until I try again.
Yeah.
I was like, this is it, because I'm 26. If I'm 30 doing this job, I'm going to go insane. I won't even be here. Like, I was genuinely at that point in my life where I was like, if I have to keep working a 9 to 5, I'll blow my brains out.
Fuck.
Yeah, I had had enough.
Okay.
And so, moved out to Thailand.
Yeah.
Second day in, meet Tom at dinner.
Yeah, we did.
And he's like, I help coaches grow. And I said, send me the Stripe link.
you were my easiest client in the world. But like, yeah. We're not here to talk so much about that. Like, I'm not too fussed about you giving me a cool testimonial on the podcast. But I do want to know, like, obviously we talk every day. So I've been there in your journey through Bangkok so much, and I know that you're like itching to get to the next level and to sort of leave Bangkok. But in the past 8 months, just like from a personal standpoint, like, what is actually moving here done for you? Because obviously a lot of people moved out here because of things like the New Elite. Obviously that's been very good for myself, very good for a lot of the other boys that we hang around with. Yeah. But just for you personally, like, what do you think what are you grateful for, and what's been like beneficial for you over the past 8 months of being here?
As you know, I'm not very aligned with Bangkok.
No.
However, it was the best decision I ever made, and I would go back and do it 10 times over.
There you go.
I may not necessarily find it the most productive place in terms of like the way I want to live my life.
Yeah.
But if I didn't do it, I would be in the exact same place. I would still be in Vancouver, still be around the same people, doing the same things. You know, most people in Vancouver, they stay at home till 30. And then they get a down payment on an apartment that's like well overpriced. And that's just life. And I just knew there was more. And I had to go experience it. So best decision I ever made moving to Bangkok. Obviously, business-wise, it's been incredible. I've learned more about myself doing this thing than I've lived 5 lives in the last 8 months.
That is one thing about Bangkok, is that time slows down because of the amount of experiences that get condensed into such a short period of time. Yeah. Like, do you remember when you crashed when you were on the back of the bike? So the day after I met you and you like joined my program, you rang me up at like 9 a.m. the next morning. I'm about to start work and you're like, I've just been in a bike crash. You're like, what do I do? What do I do? You're like, can you come get me? So then I came and rescued you from outside the mall.
Yeah, a bit of a jarring experience.
But your leg was
huge. My leg was in trouble. So for context for anyone listening, basically I'd been in Bangkok about 4 days, just met Tom the night before, and I was going to buy a food scale. But I didn't know about, like, you could order things on Grab or Lazada.
Yeah, like you could just get that delivered to your house. Like, technically you didn't need to go on a mad side quest.
Did not need to go on a side quest. So I called a Grab at like 8:30. I had my coffee. I was feeling good. We're going down a straight street. Like, there's no bends, no turns, and the driver of the Grab bike.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know what that is, basically here in Thailand, there's motorcycles or scooters that you sit on the back of and a guy drives it.
It's like a motorbike taxi, yeah.
And he drove right in the back of a van. Just like full speed, straight into the back of it. Luckily, I popped off and landed on my butt. I stood up and I look at the guy. I popped off, like literally just whoop, off the back. I'm looking at the guy laying on the ground. I'm like, are you okay? And he's like, I'm good. He did not look okay. I'm going to be honest. He looked like he had better days.
I'm sure he had. His bike was mashed. Have you still got the photo of the bike?
I do have the photo.
You got. I'll put it on screen right now because that is crazy.
So the bike was completely totaled. Yeah. And I popped up. I start walking away like when you survive a crazy crash in GTA 5 and you're barely alive. So I'm walking down the street. People are trying to talk to me. I'm just like, I just got to go get this food scale. So I'm walking down this side road and I think I'm all right. Definitely adrenaline's pumping, and I look down at my calf, and it is like, my calves aren't very big, but I mean, it's 4 times the size of what it usually is.
Have you got a picture of that as well?
I don't. I should have.
Oh man, we should have got a picture of that.
Yeah, 4 times the size of what it usually was, red, and I was like, all right, I might have just broken my leg 4 days into this foreign country I've never been to. Yeah. It's not.
It was huge. Start. I've never seen somebody's leg swell up that much.
Yeah, and so. At the BTS, which is kind of like a SkyTrain station.
Yeah, it's like the metro sort of thing.
The metro. There's a large staircase. So I was like, okay, well, let's see if it's broken. I don't even know where hospitals are. I don't even have health insurance. I'm just winging this whole experience. So I ran up the stairs to see if my leg was broken or fractured, and it was okay. Didn't hurt. I mean, it was like pulsing. So then I tried to go get the food scale, and the store was closed, which was a little unfortunate. So I called Tom. And then we went to a pharmacy for ice.
I turned up and I was like, what the fuck's going on? Looked at your leg and I was like, no, you're good, you're good. But in my head I was thinking, fuck, why is there a golf ball? Why is there a tennis ball sticking out of his leg right now?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so you got on the back of my bike.
Yeah.
Very trusting of you, by the way, to just been in a bike crash and then get on the back of my bike.
I didn't have any other choice, really.
Yeah. But anyway, we got to the pharmacy. Yeah. They recommended that we went to they gave you some ISO, I believe.
Yeah, they did.
Which was nice of them. Then we went to the hospital. And then, it was a nice little morning.
It was. And then we went to the hospital. It was actually very quick and efficient.
It was very good.
I paid $200 for some antibiotics and x-ray, and it took about 45 minutes.
It was, it's so efficient. Like, the hospitals here are like hotels.
It's insane.
That was the first time I ever went in one when I went with you.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind.
In Canada, they look like from the movie World War Z.
Yeah. It's the same in England.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's the most depressing place ever.
I literally think there's a zombie apocalypse about to happen at any moment when I'm in a UK hospital.
Yeah, in Bangkok, they're beautiful. So
they really are.
That's one good thing about Thailand.
It's got its random, really, really high quality
strange,
things, and then it's got the craziness. But I love it. So yeah, okay. So obviously that happened. Is anything else crazy happened in Bangkok?
In Bangkok, the earthquake.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, you weren't here though.
I wasn't even here.
Yeah.
Tell me your experience of the earthquake. So for anybody who doesn't know, about a week ago, there was it a week ago?
Yeah.
A week ago yesterday, a week ago today, there was an earthquake in Bangkok.
Yeah.
Well, actually it was in Myanmar, but it also hit Bangkok. Yeah. Obviously not good. And
not great.
Not great. Everybody's had different experiences with it, So, what was yours?
Well, I was actually just leaving my apartment. I'm on the 24th floor. And I'm walking out the door, don't have shoes on, don't have my wallet, just my phone. and I'm halfway out the door because I was going to put them on and grab my wallet. And all of a sudden, the building is moving 15 feet left to right. Like, I'm seeing, basically there's apartment buildings just outside my balcony, and I'm seeing more floors. Like, I'm going down the building.
What?
And I was like, I knew it was an earthquake because...
What do you mean you were seeing more floors?
So imagine the building's like this.
Yeah.
It's tilting like this.
Yeah.
So I can see the other building, like, lower floors.
What?
Like, it was crazy.
That's insane.
It was moving a lot.
What?
And I'd been in earthquakes before. In Canada, they're pretty frequent. Like, I was there a month and a half ago. There was a 4.4. This was unlike, like, it was insane. It was like 100 times that, at least. It's moving so much you can't even stand up. I look in the hallway, people are like laying on the ground, and I'm like, I scream down the hallway at them. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Go down the stairs. Sorry for swearing.
Oh, you
Excuse
can swear.
my poor language.
Nah, we can swear on this.
Good. So yeah, we all start running down the stairs. The walls are cracking. I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself the whole time, there's no way I die like this. Like, this is just pathetic. I got so much more to do. Get outside, no shoes, no wallet. And then, yeah, we all just kind of stand there for like 20, 30 minutes. And after a while, I just go, you know what? I'm going to risk it. I'm just going to go back upstairs, get my wallet, get my shoes. At least I can go get some food.
Of course.
So they were like, you can't go upstairs. I went in a side door, went up the elevator, grabbed my belongings, headed back down, and then ordered some food, and I was all right.
Yeah, you were all right. I spoke to so many people when that happened, obviously, like my brother, a bunch of the other boys, and everyone was freaking out. But you are one person that I rang, and you seemed absolutely fine. You're like, yeah, I've just come back in.
Yeah, well, I've experienced earthquakes before. I mean, I guess if you've never experienced one, it'd shake you up, you could say.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also I was just at the point where I was like, you know what? I thought to myself going up the elevator, nah, this isn't the way I die.
No. Travis said the same thing, you know.
Maybe this is just some ridiculous self-belief, but I was like, nope, doesn't end here. Yeah. I'll be all right.
Yeah. Yeah. That I remind myself of that. I'm like, I just don't feel like if I'm on a plane and there's like crazy turbulence, I'm like, this is getting a bit wild. I just remind myself, I don't think I die this way.
Yeah, I actually think I got that from you.
Really?
Because you've said that to me numerous times. And that was the only thing in my head while I was going back up the elevator. I was like, nah, I'll be all right.
Yeah. And you are.
Here I am.
Yeah.
Live to see another day.
Of course. Of course. So that's been your crazy experiences in Bangkok. I think I want to ask you some questions, actually.
Please.
Because I lined up some juicy questions, and I want to...
Oh, I'm in trouble now.
You're in trouble, big time. I wanted to ask some questions around coaching, just because the majority of the people watching this are likely in online coaching, and I basically generated some juicy ones, and I want to get some juicy answers out of you, really. So let me pick a...
Let's see what I have for you.
Let's pick a good one. Okay, actually, I thought of one before. This isn't actually on my list, but what do you think is like the biggest scam in online coaching? Whether that's with like business mentors or, you know, fitness, like what do you think is like the biggest, like most unethical way people are actually making money from online coaching?
The biggest scam. I'm not sure exactly what I think the biggest, but I think the newest one that I'm seeing the most frequent is people using new studies to sell products or courses or apps. And I just think, honestly, especially with these scientific studies, these can be manipulated for data in any way. You can have one that says high reps are better for volume, and then you can have one next week that says low reps, and people just make YouTube videos that obviously get clicks, or they'll say, hey, you know, dumbbell curls are the worst exercise you could do. And then they'll sell you on this new exercise, and then it links to their app or their training program. I think it's just lying to the masses.
So really they're basically using new data on like
for content.
Yeah.
And
on things that like have worked for years, and then kind of playing that us versus you, like marketing, copywriting tactic. Yeah.
And I just think it's just lying. It's just not true. Like, there's this huge thing now with, you know, the science-based lifters coming up with these new exercises, new way to do things that just overcomplicate things. And really what it does is stop people from making progress. Yeah. The only people I see in the gym doing that look like they've never worked out in their life. So I probably think that's the biggest scam. Or maybe It's definitely in supplements it can get a little bit questionable, but
yeah.
What do you think the biggest scam is?
What do I think the biggest scam is?
Let's hear it from your perspective, because you've worked with many mentors, you've worked with many coaches.
Yeah. I could give like such a smart aleck answer on this and be like, oh, the biggest scam is when people don't put the work in and they scam themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think if you view like, and I think if you're a client buying a service, and I think if you view anything as a scam, if your brain works in that way, then what you're essentially doing, and even if it is a scam, even if they are blatantly, unethically selling something and just stealing money from people and misleading people, I think that ultimately, if you're the type of person to say that you've been affected by a scam, you likely don't have the best possible mindset that you could have to be successful in business or be successful even in getting a good physique. Because I think you've got to take responsibility. So I don't believe in scams. I don't believe I can get scammed. Do you know what I mean?
So it's a trick question.
Maybe it's a trick question. But like for me, like if you're asking me that question, that's the way that's what my head goes to. I'm like, no, I'm going to take responsibility.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are like some scams like in the fitness industry.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's my like smart answer.
Yeah.
But like,
what's your real answer?
My real answer: who do I hate? What do I hate?
Who do I hate? Let me bring out the list.
Yeah. I would say that the biggest scam is, I don't know. I think it's probably for me. I'm big on actually doing the thing that you teach.
Yes.
So. Like, for example, if you're helping people get in shape, I believe that it's good to be in shape. Absolutely. If you're teaching people to run ads, or if you're teaching people to build their coaching business, like I don't teach anything to the people that we work with that we don't currently implement in our business ourselves. Sure. And the minute we stop implementing something, the minute we stop finding that something doesn't work for us anymore, or like that tactic has, become outdated, we will tell everybody that, hey, we're not doing this anymore. This is now what we're doing.
Yeah.
And just showing what's been successful for us.
Yeah.
So
that's basically same line as I said, like just manipulating people basically.
Exactly.
But no, that's definitely true, especially with the skepticism in the market right now with courses, coaching. Everyone thinks everything is a scam, but I think if you view everything as a scam, you're just not open to learning.
Yes.
Like you're holding yourself back from making so much progress.
Yes.
Because before I bought any coaching or mentorship, I kind of had that view. Until I did it, and I was like, what you don't know is what you don't know. Yeah. And you literally have no clue.
Yeah.
And that was why I joined a network, is because like I wanted to make money online and travel the world, but I didn't know anything about it. Yeah. As I said, I was completely blind. But as soon as I joined and started talking to like 2-3 people and just had an insight and saw what was possible, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You can actually grasp what it's like.
Of course.
But before then, and you're just on the outside looking in, you have no idea.
Yeah, and it's a belief thing as well, isn't 100%. It? It's like if you have evidence that somebody else has done it, you then start to believe that you can as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What was I going to say? That was it. So what would you say? Okay, keeping on the sort of theme of like scams and stuff like that. Obviously, you've been in sales and in human communication for a long, long time, and I'm really into it at the moment. There's a guy called Chase Hughes, and he's like he was like a government psychologist or whatever. I don't know his exact role, but now he goes on a bunch of
MK Ultra psyop.
He talks about that a lot. Actually,
really.
He talks about that. But like, I'm really into like the deep psychology on like why people do things and the psychology behind communication and body language and all of that stuff. From everything that you've learned, and I think this is just quite a hot topic, from everything that you've learned, what would you say is like the best way to manipulate somebody? Right, and when I say manipulate somebody...
Don't ask my ex-girlfriend.
When I say I won't, don't worry. When I say manipulate somebody, I don't mean in a cruel way.
Yeah.
I just mean like, what is the best way? Because the word manipulate, it just means to control something skillfully. Yeah. Obviously, it's got a negative connotation around it. Let's say the best way to influence somebody. And really, that's what coaching and sales is, isn't it? It's the best way to help somebody make the decisions for themselves to make their life better. So when I say manipulation, what's the best way to get somebody to do something that's good for them?
Well, first of all, and this actually kind of goes back to what you said previously, is if you're in a leading position, is actually do it yourself and show that you're doing it.
Yes.
That is huge, because no one trusts a leader that just orders people around. Like, no one's going to listen, because now you're just a boss. And no one likes someone that's bossy. They want a leader who goes into battle with them, basically. Definitely. Like in a weird analogy, but it is true.
No, it's true.
help them see the benefit and like the result. You don't really want to actually sell them on the system, I think is really important, because the system is a very small part of it. It's, as you said before, belief and like knowing they can actually get the result. I don't want to give too much of my manipulation tactics.
No, come on, give us the source.
I think those are really the most important things.
Really?
If you, I'm not viewing it from a malicious point of view ever. And I don't even feel like I'm trying to persuade most of the time. I'm just trying to show people that, like, if you take this leap, this, risk, if you could call it that, like, your life will exponentially be better.
It's true.
Like, it's
true.
It really is that simple.
It is.
So,
yeah,
that's my view on it.
Yeah, because I actually think that if you can help somebody, like everybody has a desire, if you can help somebody get clearer on that desire and sort of reduce the fulfillment in that desire, this is what I talk about, like the 2 drivers of making somebody buy is reducing the fulfillment in that desire, which looks like showing off you having that. Yes. So they will then, not consciously, but maybe subconsciously, compare themselves and understand that they don't have that. Their desire for it will increase, right? And also the pain of what not having that desire fulfilled actually comes with. So the pain of maybe not being or looking good enough to get the partners that they want or whatever it might be.
They're underlying, like, the things they actually want that are underlying that they consciously don't really know about.
Exactly.
Like, no guy's really walking around saying, I'm not that confident.
No.
They're not saying that.
No.
They're saying, I don't want to take my t-shirt off at the swimming pool.
Exactly.
And I was that kid.
Yeah.
I was that kid when I was younger, when I was skinny fat.
Yeah.
I was skinny fat. I didn't want to take my shirt off at the pool, but I wasn't going like, oh, I'm not confident.
No.
I never thought that.
Yeah. But that's interesting though, because that's a symptom. Not wanting to take your top off at the pool is a symptom of not being confident.
Exactly.
Being confident is the cause. Yeah. And that's where I think, like, in marketing, a lot of coaches get it mixed up. They don't sell based on symptoms. They sell based on causes, because they understand that, you're not confident and it's because you don't have this and and they'll try to sell based on that, not realizing that what's top of mind and what people are actually feeling is that the symptom of, not wanting to take your top off
and something that you taught me is like relatability. Like, you have to think in their shoes, but especially if you've built a good physique, you've probably been training for 5, 10, 15 years. So it's almost difficult to go back in time and think about how you felt before you started.
Definitely.
And really put yourself in their shoes. I think that's one of the most important things.
Definitely.
And kind of goes back to what I said at the beginning. What makes a good coach? What makes a good coach is living those experiences.
Of course.
And being in people's shoes who work long hours or, they need a flexible diet, whatever it is. Actually living those experiences is what really makes a good coach, and it's relatability.
Yeah.
Understanding everyone's situation.
Yeah, because if you've been on that journey, it's so much easier to, like, take somebody on that journey. Yeah. And I think there are some circumstances where it works that you haven't necessarily been on that journey.
Yeah.
And you just know how to do it.
Yeah.
But, like, I think it's so much more powerful if the outcome that you're selling and the offer that you have is to do with your own journey.
Absolutely. 100%. I think it's more aligned with you.
Definitely.
You're just taking people on the same journey. And honestly, that's so fulfilling. Like, some of my clients that have completely changed their life after just getting in shape, it's the physique doesn't even matter at that point. It's like what's happened to them, the outcome of that confidence and that self-belief.
Yes.
And the way they view themselves is incredible.
Yeah, it's life-changing.
It is.
Yeah. All right, so we've got about 10 minutes left on the podcast, and really what I want to do is I want you to explain, because obviously you've just been on that journey from, like, where a lot of the people watching are trying to go from. So being at, like, $1,000 per month to the point where you're making, $10K plus, you're making consistently 5 figures per month online. So what would you tell somebody who's at the beginning of that journey and they're wanting to make 10K per month online as an online coach?
Be open to learning every part of it. Learn, try to become an expert at every individual piece of the puzzle. DMs, content, email marketing, like any time you have a new thing that you need to implement into your business, really understand it. Find a mentor who can guide you there and actually understands your situation. I think that's one of the most valuable things I ever did.
Same.
And get ready to put the work in.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, you literally just have to go in the trenches and do the hard stuff consistently over and over and over and over again. And you're going to see other people blowing up, going viral. Maybe they went from 0 to 20K a month. You just have to accept that that could happen to me, but it might not. And I just have to do the work.
Yeah.
And it'll be worth it.
Yeah, that is painful. I've been there where like somebody who started after me has blown up so much faster. What would you say to somebody who's like going through that right now? They're watching other coaches blow up, and they might even understand that they are a better coach and that they have a better product, but just because this other coach has blown up, they've overtook them in the game of business.
You don't know what that coach has been through, what their journey has, and I think the quote is, "Your net worth doesn't surpass your personal development." And I think you probably just need to go through the trenches. You should be happy that you get to do it, that you have to put that work in.
Yeah.
And I'm super blessed because if I didn't have to do that and I just blew up out of nowhere and I was making 30K per month, what happens if things start dying off? How do I get it back? I don't even know what to do anymore. Like, I'm glad I had to build it from nothing and do, 150, 200 DMs a day, working 10-hour days, just sitting at my computer. It's actually a blessing. And you're going to look back at those times and appreciate them.
I agree.
Those are the best, because when you do get that sale or you get a referral, you're like, it's heaven sent.
Yeah. Yeah.
You only feel two things when you start doing this, though, I will say, is euphoria and terror.
Yes, you said that to me before.
Yeah.
You're either in a state of euphoria or in a state of terror.
Yeah. Like,
pretty much the whole time.
Am I going to survive? And then you get a sale and you're like, oh my God, God has blessed me.
Yeah, I'm going to be okay. Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Let's go out. Let's
let's
make the most of it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Is there any books that you would recommend to people to read? Like particularly in this, because I'm big on reading books. I don't know if you read a lot, but
Absolutely.
like particularly in the 0 to 10K per month as an online coach specifically, is there any books that are like an absolute non-negotiable, have to be read in order to get there?
Reality Transurfing.
That's huge.
Mandatory.
Yeah.
Psycho-Cybernetics. I think that's huge. You need to basically in Psycho-Cybernetics, you need to reprogram your self-image to view yourself as the person that already has all those things, and they're coming to you. And Reality Transurfing is kind of similar, but it's really teaching you how to not put excess potential in things and actually be able to enjoy the present moment, and how much easier it'll make life.
Yeah. That's so hard to do though, isn't it?
You tell me all the time I need to do it more.
Yeah. I think I tell myself that I need to do it more as well. But basically, it's the concept for anybody that doesn't know. It's like when you've got a goal, you attach excess importance and potential to it. And you build it up so much in your head, it becomes so important. It becomes too important to yourself mentally and spiritually
that you push it away.
That you push it away. You're chasing it so hard. You're squeezing it so hard in your hand that it just slips out. And I did that so much when I was younger.
Yeah. And it's what we talk about now, though. We always say, like, once we get to this next milestone, everything's going to be fine.
We still do it,
and nothing changes.
Yes.
You hit it and you're like, okay, well, what's next?
Yeah.
Those two books I think are mandatory.
Yep.
I personally like the 50th Law.
I've not read that.
Very good. Yeah, I think it's...
What is it? What is the 50th law?
I don't even know. There's 50 laws in it, I think.
Oh, there's 50 laws in it.
It's been a while since I read it, but basically it's by Robert Greene. It's a follow-up to 48 Laws of Power.
Yeah.
It's with 50 Cent and Robert Greene. And I think it's really interesting.
It's with 50 Cent?
Yeah, it's a really good book.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's badass.
And if you're a guy, I would read The Way of the Superior Man.
Yes.
I think that's imperative. I mean, I have ChatGPT talk to me as the author.
Yes. I've actually set up a project for Reality Transurfing where it speaks to me as the author of that. But yeah,
that's a huge... Guys, if you're not using ChatGPT for everything in your life, you're missing out.
Yeah.
You could just tell it to act as something, as a marketing expert.
Exactly.
And you'll get great information. It may not be perfect, but I mean...
Yeah, like they've got... On the side there, they've got, I don't know if they can even see that on the camera, but they've got Russell Brunson's books, .com secrets. You could literally ask, you can see him behind Andrew there. You can literally ask ChatGPT to act as Russell Brunson or act as Alex Hormozy or act as, somebody else who knows what they're doing. Yeah. And it will literally go ahead and speak to you as if it was them.
Yeah.
How crazy is that going to be though? Like when you can literally make it, hey, speak to me in Alex Hormozy's voice and tell me like what I need to do. That's going to be mad.
That's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
And I'm going to abuse it.
I'm going to abuse it. Yeah,
I already do.
I'm going to have like 10 Hormozis on command, ready to go.
That's my advice. What advice would you give to coaches that are, in that in that early stages, they just want to get started online? What would you say to them?
Yeah. Go and watch the link in the description of this video. Literally, I've made literally a video answering that exact question. So like, yeah, go and watch the link in the description. I guess that's it.
Sweet.
I spent like 20 minutes explaining the answer.
There you go.
But what's next for you, man? We've got 4 minutes. But what's next for you? Like, I know that we have a conversation like this on a weekly basis.
We do.
Looking to move away from Bangkok and sort of try out some new places, but like business wise, relationships wise, location wise. You don't have to answer the relationships one.
Me and Tom are in a secret relationship. Location wise, I'm thinking of going to Bali next month for May. I want to test that out because I basically went from Vancouver straight into like metropolis Bangkok, just pure chaos.
Yeah.
The city of sin.
It is.
But I've been behaving myself.
You've been very locked in.
I've been very locked in. So I'm going to go to Bali for a month and then looking at doing Marbella for the summer.
Makes sense.
And then from there, we'll have to figure it out.
Yes, you will.
Business-wise, really want to grow a real brand. I really want to solidify myself. So grow my YouTube, really get people understanding the journey I'm on and show them behind the scenes. And then just keep making progress. Keep doing the damn thing. Keep expanding.
Fantastic. Where can people find you online? You
can find me at Brussai, BRUSSAI, and on YouTube at Andrew Brussai.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you doing this.
Thank you.
Let's wrap it up there.